The boogeymen of boxing, do they really exist? David AVANESEYAN built a reputation of being a boogeyman after some decent European title wins, good European title wins. And the fact that not so much David, but Neil Marsh and Carl Greaves kept calling out Conor Benn. And then you get to realise it's nothing to do with being a boogeyman. It's basically clout chasing. Clout chasing off the biggest name welterweight currently active in Britain. Then it appeared to get worse for Conor. David, the Lionheart, was going to take on Virgil Ortiz. It was all but a done deal on DAZN. The David AVANESEYAN support group were telling the world, you see, Conor, you're not a real fighter. Look who David's fighting and this and that and this and that and that. And you're just ducking smoke. And yeah, Conor did avoid the AVANESEYAN fight. He did. No doubt. Eddie even said, yeah, he's not ready for the fight. He's not ready to take the fight. But then we hear from Dan Raphael that David AVANESEYAN didn't sign his part of the contract to fight Ortiz. The fight is off. You know, they made all contingencies for David AVANESEYAN, gave him extra money, agreed to certain terms to smooth the transition through so the fight could happen, and they wouldn't take the fight. And this is down to Neil Marsh and Carl Greaves. Maybe they've got what they wanted in terms of publicity, but right now nobody's calling David AVANESEYAN no boogeyman, or this big dangerous welterweight that everybody's avoiding. Nobody's talking about that right now. Michael Mickinson from the UK, he stepped in. That's who Virgil was supposed to face originally before he got sick. So he stepped in. The Southpaw from the UK. So is he the boogeyman now? No, he's not no boogeyman. He's doing what he has to do until he's in a position where he can assess risk reward. And this is what I said about Michael Hunter. When you're not in a position to assess risk reward as a boxer, you're going to have to take certain fights where the odds are a little stacked against you. You've got to fight away from home against a bigger name, less money. But Eddie is talking about they're on the cusp of announcing a big opponent for Conor Benn. Well, it looks like David AVANESEYAN is available. Can make the offer now. Let's see what Neil Marsh and Carl Greaves do. Because the way they were talking, like they were going to make it very easy for the fight to be made. They just wanted to get in the ring and bash Conor up. You know, it's definitely due time Conor takes on the likes of an AVANESEYAN. It's definitely due time. And AVANESEYAN needs to prove that he is this boogeyman, and this is a good way to redeem himself. But when I read stories like this, that Ben is still talking about this Eubank fight and he's going to fight him at 160, but you won't fight AVANESEYAN. This makes me stop rooting for Conor, you know what I mean? Like, fuck this shit, bro. Why are we back here? You know, these British fighters just talking shit. And this is what I'm saying. I don't care if I'm from Britain or a thing. When I see shit, I'm calling shit. Whether it's Anthony Yarde staying inactive for a year or Conor Benn calling out 160-pounders when he hasn't established himself yet at welter as a contender, but you're calling out 160-pounders when Chris Eubank is calling out Kell Brook after Brook beats Khan, when as middleweight contenders and champions, he could be challenging. If Eubank was serious, go take that fucking 160-pound interim belt of Johnny Beck. Go fight him. He's looking for an opponent. But it's a joke. Challenge Andrade. Apparently they haven't stripped him of that 160-pound belt yet. And what's he doing? He ducked Johnny Beck, went up to 168. What's happened to that Zach Parker fight? There's a lot of bullshit going on. And it doesn't matter whether it's in England, Mexico, with Munguia fighting Jim Kelly, and he's turned down several title shots and several contenders, or it's in America with Charlo. Bullshit is bullshit. Then when you see Adam Smith talking, yo, yeah, we're going to get Eubank a really big opponent next time out, and he's calling out Conor Benn, and then you hear Eddie talking, yeah, we're going to get someone really big, and he's calling out Eubank at 160. Like, come on, man. Either get that fight made or stop talking about it and do what you got to do in the weight class that we're used to seeing you in, that we expect you to be challenging contenders and champions in. This story blew up and then went quiet. They're talking about INOUE's hand wraps. This kind of pre-taping and padding wouldn't be allowed in many other regions. Keen to get thoughts from fighters, coaches, etc. Liam Smith, he said the scary part about this is he isn't being questioned. Donaire's representative looks disinterested. Surely that much tape on the skin isn't allowed. Some states have none. Some have free strips. I've never heard of a full fist taped first. So is INOUE a cheat? Donaire had his representative in there and he didn't do nothing. So let it go. Let it go. Fabio TURCHI, 28 years of age. As an amateur, he won a gold medal at the 2013 Mediterranean Games, a silver at the 2010 Youth Olympics in 2010 and a bronze at the 2010 Youth World Championships. He currently has a record of 20 wins, 14 stoppages, 1 victory, 6'2", with a 70-inch reach. Not the longest cruiserweight reach you will see. Richard Riakporhe says he fights like Mike Tyson, but doesn't have the head movement. That's what he said about his opponent. It's weirdly billed as an eliminator, but none of the sanctioning bodies have gave it their blessing as an eliminator. Richard Riakporhe is 32 years of age, needs to get a move on, and they're targeting a world title shot this year. Arsene Goulamarian, he seems to be interested in defending his WBA belt against Riakporhe. Sky will obviously be looking to get it in the UK and London, and they have the platform and the machine to draw the likes of Goulamarian over here. So Riakporhe is 32 years of age. He has a 77-inch reach, 6'5", 14 fights, 10 stoppages, no losses. He's a huge favourite to defeat Fabio TURCHI. It just depends on what style he does it in. A defeat will be a disaster not only for Richard but for Sky. They've invested in Richard Riakporhe and they want to return. Richard is a specimen, 6'5", very powerful to look at. He can punch. I like the little catch and shoot maneuver he did on Dion Duma with the right hand last time out. I ran a little poll in Twitter asking, will Richard Riakporhe win a world title in the next 2 or 3 years? 29.3% said yes, 46.7% said no, and 24% were undecided. 75 votes, 6 hours left. What do you think? And Sky are trying to keep Richard active as they need to, sharpen him up in case that world title opportunity pops up anytime soon. The only recognizable name I see on TURCHI's record is Tommy McCarthy, who he lost to on points in 2019, not too long ago. Fabio had hometown advantage in Italy, and I would imagine he got outboxed by Tommy McCarthy. And obviously, Richard blasted out McCarthy pretty early and probably his most impressive win as a pro. Can't really do the triangle theory, but you'd expect a comprehensive win, whether it's on points or a stoppage from Riakporhe. You wouldn't expect no less. And Robert Garcia will be in his corner. I don't think a permanent move, but while he's here training AJ, he's going to be in the corner. Could be a permanent move, who knows? It's a good card, actually. I like the card. I like the names on there. We've got Jermaine Brown versus Zach Chelly, English super middleweight title. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. Chris Congo, he takes on Sebastian Formella, who is famous for going the distance with Conor Benn and before that, Sean Porter. Vidal Riley, he's going to try and go to 6-0 against Joan Volau, 5-7-0. Basically an opponent who Vidal should look good against. Lauren Price, she won the gold medal at middleweight in 2021 in China. She makes her debut. She's a very skilled boxer, actually. Good mover, very tricky, southpaw. In what seemed to be a relatively drab press conference, what was the biggest story to come out? Well, she's in a same-sex relationship with Carrie Argenstall, a bronze medalist from the same Olympics in China. She's also signed to Boxer XX. And Adam Smith asks Lauren Price, why did you sign to Boxer XX? Was it because of Ben Shalom's good looks? And the LGB whatever brigade, they seem to come out in force. How could he ask her that, knowing that she's not of that persuasion, that she's a lesbian? And I'm thinking, please don't follow boxing. Leave our sport alone. I'm not talking about Caris or Lauren. I'm not talking about them. But if that's the type of support they're going to get, we don't need them over here. We don't need them over here like every second. Everything's going to be controversial and they're going to be offended. In all truth, knowing some of the people online, especially who troll boxing, that's not the last time their same-sex status relationship is going to get some headlines and LG are going to jump up and be screaming murder all about the place. And don't get me wrong, if there's excessive bullying and trolling, then yes, it has to be addressed. But this here, what Adam Smith said, Frank Warren has a card, which I didn't find out about until, what's the time now, 11:30 a.m. And headlining is Mark Leach, who's defending his British bantamweight title against Liam Davis. Mark Leach is 18-1-1 with 4 knockouts. Liam Davis is 11-0 with 5 knockouts. I haven't heard much about them, to be honest. And there's also a vacant flyweight title for the British title. Jazz Ahmed, Kwesi KHAMEDI. So there's 2 British title fights on there. I'm looking for some names I recognise. Willie Hutchinson, he's coming back after losing his unbeaten record to Lennox Clark last year, getting blasted out in 5 rounds. Minor upset. And actually, Lennox Clark is in a bigger fight next week. Like, once again, it's BT going up against either DAZN or Sky, and they came off second this week. Let's not get it misconstrued, yeah? RIAKPORHE versus TURCHI is a bigger show, no doubt about that. But next week, they've got a decent show with Mark Heffron taking on Lennox Clark. And they'll have Hamza Shiraz on there, Dennis McCann. It's a decent card for them. Stephen Fulton from Philly defended his super bantamweight WBC and WBO titles against Daniel Roman. Nice movement, piercing jab, defensively responsible. He's got the Philly show going on. In the 4th, he opened up with him chopping rights and 1-2s and looked very impressive. Somebody in the commentary team, sounded like a boxer, he pointed out that Roman was coming forward, throwing his jab, and then he'd take a step backward and have to reset again. And he's saying, no, you've got to take another step forward and commit with the jab. And he was correct. They were among some of the mistakes he made. Like the earmuff defense, it looked like it was blinding him to when the hooks were coming around the guard. And it also made his punches telegraphed when he was trying to transition from earmuff to offense. But you can't be too harsh on boxers all the time, you know. Stephen is a more talented guy. That's just how that was. Whether that's through coaching or just naturally the better boxer, you can't be too harsh, can you? The member of the commentary team I was talking about was Abner Morris. And look, Roman is no mug. He previously had 2 belts in the weight class, unified champion. And I've seen him box better than this, but perhaps Fulton is a little better than what I was thinking he was going to be. I wasn't that impressed with the Figueroa fight. Now, in round 5 and 6, I'm seeing more of the Roman that I'm used to seeing. He's livened up a little, he's bouncing on his toes a little more, and he's closing the gap, throwing some body shots, jabs to the body, trying to slow Fulton down. But Fulton is landing the quality punches, you know what I mean? And like, he might not throw a lot, but he's very accurate. Not a devastating puncher by no means, but he's very accurate and technically very good. Fulton, nice little move, switched to lefty, as Al Bernstein said, and landed a nice backhand straight down the pipe. Roman's having his success now, and it's a better fight to watch than the earlier rounds. I tell you what, man, Fulton is slick as f***, bro. He got off his combinations, like, because Roman is getting aggressive now, you know what I mean? And he's trying to push the pace. He needs to. And Stevens kind of standing his ground more and landing his shots. But he landed one combination and Roman tried to come back, and Fulton did the Philly shell from left to right and then bounced back out of range. Nice. All in one movement, man. Just beautiful. Beautiful, man. Roman was game, and like, don't be fooled, Stephen can hit a little, yeah, right? And like, he started with that left uppercut and he was just piecing up Roman, but Roman was still trying to make it competitive. But the angles that Fulton can find for his punches, this is a really good performance. 10th round.
He also made it clear, should he win tonight, he wants to be undisputed against Murtajan Akhmadali. But you're right, he's already talked about going up in weight and saying, hey, maybe I'll see Brandon Figueroa again at that weight class.
You see, most fighters want to become undisputed champion. And the promoters need to know this, yeah? If you want to keep the majority of top fighters motivated, you've got to look to open up the opportunities, whether it takes cross promotions to get them unifications and undisputed fights. That's just what it is. He wants to fight Akhmadaliev. Great display of counter-punching in the 10th by Fulton. And in the 11th, he went to straight brutality with these left hooks he was throwing, like full power left hooks. Great shots. Like Roman's corner is telling him, keep punching. Why you stop punching? Because my man's throwing some serious shit back. That's why. Back foot, counter punching, mid-range hooking. Done the whole lot. Done the whole lot. To that certain boxing fan who likes saying guys like this are boring, you sound ridiculous. You sound ridiculous. He could have played it safe in the last round. Instead, stood in the center of the ring, and he dominated there as well. Scorecards, 2 scorecards of 120, 108, and another scorecard of 119, 109. Tells you all you need to know about the dominance of this performance. And if you haven't watched Stephen Fulton yet, you need to watch him.
No DAZN, no her.
Yeah, I'm not asking about it.
No Marmella, no AJ.
Like, how did this get on camera? I'm sure he wouldn't have allowed this on camera. But he's prepping the interview with the questions that can be asked and not asked. No DAZN, no Hearn, no Probellum, no AJ. Why so adamant? No Hearn, no AJ, no DAZN. Well, as Ring IQ observes here, AJ going all in with DAZN then. Got it. They don't want to answer the AJ question or the DAZN questions, you know what I mean? Because we know where AJ's going now. And normally, Adam Smith wouldn't have no issues talking about AJ, DAZN, or Hearn. Now, Probellum, obviously, that's a no-brainer. Right? That one never flies. But the rest is normally all fair game for Ben Shalom and Adam Smith. But obviously, they're processing life without AJ. Look, Eddie can't hide it. He hasn't announced it, but he says the decision has been made on whether AJ stays at Sky or switches over to DAZN. And the body language tells a story in itself, right? Next week, they're going to be dropping bombs like Hiroshima. AJ will now fight on DAZN. Usyk and AJ will fight on August, whatever date, in Saudi Arabia. And they're going to drop it all next week. He already let us know that the purses will be split 50-50 between Usyk and AJ. Del Boy CHISORA was asked for his thoughts on the video of Anthony Joshua confronting the university students who shouted abuse at him.
Let me tell you about shoes. I'd have smashed the whole house up. I'd have robbed them afterwards as well.
Del Boy playing with the toys. Bust off a shot, that's how we make noise.
Derek Chisora said he would definitely stop Kubrat Pulev. Pulev didn't like that. Oh, it's just talk. Everybody in the world, politics, this and that. It's just talk, 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 talk. Like all the excuses he made when AJ whooped his ass. How many excuses did he make? He had COVID in preparation for the fight. He wasn't right. He says he didn't complain. He did complain. He complained and bitched and moaned constantly after. So if he's going to say everyone else is all talk, 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 then what is he? And like Derek said earlier, no disrespect to Pulev, but all that, he had COVID in preparation, that's all bullshit. And that's not Derek's style, is it? Derek's not a toe-gator. Anthony Joshua said when he first met Pulev around 2018 when they were first supposed to fight and he pulled out, he said Pulev was really respectful. But after the Andy Ruiz loss, he changed. And that was partly because of Bob Arum and this, that, and whatnot. And before AJ knocked out Pulev in 2020, he was talking a lot of shit. His coach was talking a lot of shit about AJ's suspect chin and how they're going to knock him out. So how come he didn't tell his coach? It's talk, 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 talk. You can't predict. Now, Pulev did say some real shit. And Tyson Fury fans have denied this for the longest. Like when I spoke about this on this channel, I've been challenged. This is not true. Tyson didn't duck. Pulev came out today and said in 2013, Tyson Fury could have fought him, but he didn't fight him. And here it is here. Tyson Fury decides against Kubrat Pulev Eliminator. And then he went after David Haye. And Haye pulled out twice in 2013. This would have got him a direct shot via the IBF route. Mick Hennessy failed to show up at an EBU purse bid for the clash in Austria earlier today. News in brief. David Haye is caught an assault charge. He's got to appear in court. He's entered a plea of not guilty at Westminster Magistrates Court relating to an incident which occurred in October last year. They're saying Errol Spence has not sent Terence Crawford a contract. I saw a Boxing Voice interview and one of Terence Crawford's people were putting it out there that no contract has been sent, it's all talk. I did make a video recently saying that we're never going to see that fight. I believe Spence will fight Stanionis or anyone else at 147 before Terence Crawford. It's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. Eddie Hearn, he put it out there that Serrano, Jake Paul, and the rest of Serrano's team do not want the Katie Taylor rematch. Obviously, the likely venue to host that would be Croke Park in Ireland. And Team Serrano don't believe they get a fair shake on the scorecards. And I agree. I do agree. Like, no disrespect, Katie's got a few decisions that always seem to go away. But the other argument is for them to take the purses that they got for the first fight, you know, like they both earned in excess of $1 million apiece. It has to be, as Eddie Hearn says, you know, like he says, we can't generate that kind of money for Serrano without drawing the biggest gate possible. And Croke Park right now is the front runner. So, unfortunately, we won't be getting a rematch of their first fight, which was a classic. Won't be getting that. I empathize with the position that Serrano is in. They don't believe they get a fair shake. But what other fight are you going to take if you don't fight Katie Taylor? Who is it she's going to fight? Like, look at the kind of money we're talking for women's boxing. That's once in a lifetime money for any female fighter. And she's going to turn it down? Amanda cannot live with the fact that Katie Taylor is the A side, but that's just how that is. You're not going to get that kind of purse anywhere else. Like, if she doesn't need the money, fair enough, then go do something else. Maybe tie up the belts at, is it Super Feather, where she's got all the belts? Maybe do that. But in terms of legacy and money, the Katie Taylor fight is a no-brainer, surely. There's something about a lot of American boxers. They get this kind of complex, oh, I shouldn't have to travel to fight an Irish person or an Australian or a Brit. I'm American. And they need to chill with that. Apparently, Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall have agreed terms for their undisputed middleweight fight in September. And they're talking about a multi-fight deal. I believe Sky want to tie them into a multi-fight deal because it's going to be a huge fight for women's boxing. But what are we talking here? A standard rematch clause either way or a free 4-fight deal? I don't know.